welcome back to Chasing Rings, the podcast, episode 3. Big week ahead of us. We're going to talk some NBA draft, the Masters, and a bunch of other stuff. Quick highlights of the week. Rumors of Chara leaving town. Chris Sale announced that he might not be ready for opening day. Eddie Rodriguez is feeling good, and he's getting ready for opening day. And the Marlins signed the first female GM. You know, good for the females in this country. You got a female VP coming up, and a female GM in sports. We got refs, we got assistant coaches. You know,
first Asian American GM too.
And a first Asian American. So some big moves there. First and foremost, we want to start off and talk about our great and late Tommy Heinsohn. He's a man that we all grew up with listening to. When you really dig deep into who Tommy Heinsohn was, we got 9 rings as a player when he averaged 18, 9, and 2. 2 rings as a coach, and then 6 more as a broadcaster. He's a 2-time Hall of Famer as a coach and a player, and most likely going to be a 3-time Hall of Famer. Tommy, rest in peace, buddy. I know you guys have some good memories or some stories you want to talk about, or just some connections to him if you guys have anything to say. But rest in peace, Tommy. It's been a great 30 years of listening to this guy. So
it's unreal. Yeah, I think his voice still, like every time I watch a Celtics game, it still rings in my mind.
It just resonates,
yeah,
right?
It's just always there.
When you watch him, when you hear him watch a young kid, oh, this kid's gonna be good.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part about going to a Celtics game is not hearing Tommy's voice. I mean, we've all been to games. I think the 4 of us have even been to a game or 2 together. Luke and I went to a bunch of playoffs, and it's like you get that garden atmosphere, but you still miss Tommy. Like you see him down there, and like if the refs are messing up, like you get Tommy like ripping the air off. Yeah, he's standing up and he's yelling at them and stuff. Like you don't get that when you're at the Garden. Of course, the energy's great, but like you miss Tommy's voice. I think it's just one of those voices that's always going to resonate with you. And anytime you hear highlights with Tommy in it, I mean, he's a Celtic Hall of Famer, Celtic great. I mean, an absolute legend for all of us. So
yeah, just speaking for me, I'm sure we're all around the same age here. Like for me, as long as I've known the Celtics, I've known Tommy Heinsohn. Like
exactly.
they've been 1-on-1 for me, where it's like his Tommy points we talk about. The Tommy Award he gives out. Like you said, Vic, you miss Tommy's voice when you go to the game. It's almost like kind of reminds me of the NFL, where it's like the product at home is so good that before COVID, like nobody wants to go to the NFL games because the product at home is way better. It's almost like you get that experience, you get that factor with Tommy in there.
We're also used to like 10 degrees and snow when you go to the games here, so a little different.
I really liked. There was one story that I like all the stories that have been coming out. Where Mike Gorman had a really nice one where he said like his first game with Tommy. It was on I think I just saw it on Twitter or something, but it was on Comcast Sportsnet. And Mike Gorman went up to Tommy, and he's like, "Hey, we're about to do our first game together." Mike Gorman said he had 10 or 12 hours of notes. Tommy crumpled it up, threw it off the balcony, and he's like, "No, kid." He's like, "You're gonna look, and we're gonna talk about what we see."
You didn't feel it. You didn't do it.
And he's like, "That's what we did for 39 years or whatever." And it's it's such a cool story.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
It's true because you don't want
And Gorman's pretty good himself.
Oh, Mike Gorman's phenomenal.
So that's funny.
Those two together were just exceptional.
I know it's going to be tough to see just Mike.
It kind of reminds me of Orsillo and Remy. Now, Tommy is 1,000 times better than Jerry Remy, and it broke my heart when they got rid of Orsillo because they really were a great duo. Orsillo went to the Padres, I believe, and they did some national stuff.
He's been awesome at San Diego.
So it's holding on to Gorman and that duo, and Scal is most likely going to get the full-time nod, which I think Scal's done a good job, but it's still you'll never replace Tommy.
I think Scal's very interesting because he's a player and he's also a Celtic, so you have that bias that you want as well. And he's still unbiased where he questions coaching moves and stuff like that. So I think he does a good job. It's just it's very hard to follow Tommy. In that capacity, it's very tough. So
he's a big shoes to fill.
There's going to be some transitional period. We already saw that last year a little bit, but yeah, I mean, RIP, one of the best.
It was kind of sad when we I remember the last couple of years he he wouldn't do road games, so you can tell he was getting.
He was on his way out.
Yeah, which he was just doing home games, but he wasn't always at the Garden. He was doing that from their studio, across the street or whatever. So, but I mean he. God bless him, he held out as long as he could. And
it was 60 years with the Celtics.
Man, 2020 has been, we've lost some damn good people this year. Between Trebek and just
Kobe and everyone, it's tough. It's tough. But before we get into the Pats, a little shout out, Chase Elliott, 24 years old, youngest NASCAR Cup Series champion. None of us know much about NASCAR, we're not going to pretend that we do, but we are a national sports radio show, so, just a little little shout out to Chase. Well done, sir. He's a stud. He came in at 18 years old and is just taking over NASCAR.
That's crazy. I mean, it's like you see that in the European League with like NBA or whatever.
Yeah.
It's, 18 years old, you're professional. 16.
Yeah, he have millions of dollars.
24. I was nowhere close to what he's accomplished. It's crazy.
Yeah, so good for him. But anyway, let's get into some good stuff. Pats versus Jets. Pats stole a little victory. How do we feel about it? Are we happy about a win, or is it kind of like a moral loss? Like we kept hearing on the Sports Hub that it was a moral loss. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you winning that game? But at the same time, it showed some flashes. I mean, I'll let you guys give some first initial thoughts on it.
I got a bone to pick with this topic.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. What happened to the New England Patriots fans? What happened to us? We went from, being mad at, we only won by 20 points in this game, or I know it was Brady before, but it's like, the offense isn't clicking, or we could be better. Or, like last year, we were 8-0, and we're like, this team kind of sucks. Now we're celebrating a victory over the winless Jets. We had to get a little bit of help from the officials. I know there was one penalty, I think, where the Jets had like 12 men on the field.
Yeah.
The Jets are going to be the Jets.
Yeah.
But, we had a group text going, and like you guys are all excited, and I'm all about like tanking. I mean, what happened? Like our expectations have changed.
You
that
stand
much.
with your team, so it's like, all right, we squeezed up the win with the Jets, but we're fans, so good for them.
I love it. A win's a win, and we saw the offense click. Like it was actually, we scored 30 points.
It was 30-27.
Thank
wasn't it?
freaking God, yeah. And Cam played decent.
Played really well.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry.
Jacoby,
Well,
he played very well.
I have a bone to pick with Ken.
So before we get into Cam, I mean, just to answer Kyle's question, I mean, you said it. It's post Brady era. We saw we had a huge high with Cam. I mean, we were all like, holy shit, great signing, $1 million a year, and then he crashed. So now Jets are no Harry, no Jules. We have no tight ends. So Sony hasn't played this year really. So for him to connect with Jacoby, 12 times over 100 yards in a touchdown, I believe it was.
No touchdown.
No touchdown. So 169 yards. I mean, he had a huge day, and to see that chemistry going. Bird had a few catches. Izzo got active in the game. I mean, I think for us, there's a couple things to look at. One, we can't draft for shit. So whether we have the 5th overall, 7th, 10th, 12th, I will most likely miss or trade it away anyway. So for us to really, we're not getting number one. There's just too many bad teams right now. So for us to really say, let's tank, or what I've been high on is, and I'll let you pick on Cam, is are we still auditioning Cam for next year when we spend $90 million? That's my thing. So to see Cam connect with Myers, get Bird going a little bit, who we got for cheap.
Yep.
We bring in, a big name receiver next year, Allen Robinson, Julio, whoever it's going to be. Is Cam the guy? And I think Bill wants to find that out. I'm sure in the back of Bill's mind last week, he was like, hey, way to drop that ball. I'm proud of you. And this week, he was like, come on, Folk, miss that 50-yarder because God knows you can only hit 46. And he, the miracle happened. But honestly, I think it's a good moral win to hold the locker room together because it is very hard to keep a team together when you're chasing 0-16. And that's what gets scary. This pretty good offensive line, do they start, losing that edge when you keep losing? Do the good veteran players, do they start to lose their passion when you really dig deep into, if we go 3-13, are you going to lose that edge?
Start putting their houses on the market around the trade deadline.
So I think a win here or there, especially a come from behind victory like that, or a buzzer beater type thing, I think that's good. So Joe, I'm high on Cam this week. What do you got negatively about him?
Well, overall, I think we played decent. Winning was a good thing or a bad thing. It was a good thing, obviously. Although I don't feel more confident about the team, it was a good win.
You don't feel more confident about this team?
Over the Jets?
About
the offense, at least.
No, but I'll get into it a little bit.
Okay.
To touch on tanking, never a possibility with Bill. Encouraged by Cam. He was definitely more accurate. 27 for 35, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
No TDs.
At one point, he was 14 for 15, wasn't he? He had one incompletion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
12
started
for 12 or 14 for 14.
Yeah.
And I know Cam had 2 rushing TDs.
Yep.
He has not thrown a touchdown pass to a wide receiver or a tight end yet this
He
year.
still has 2 passing touchdowns.
So
yeah.
that is a big problem with me because
It's hard to keep the offense flowing.
considering Jacoby had a great game, 12 for 169, and Bird with 565. I love Bird. He's really getting more involved. I think Cam is going to be the quarterback for next year.
I think so.
Yeah,
Despite what I just said, but we need to see I know he doesn't have the weapons that we all talked about, but we still need to see touchdowns from wide receivers.
I agree.
Like,
I think-
that's a big part of it.
I think he still has a lot to prove. Like everyone knows that. He knows that. And like the team is not playing well. But the offense, and I know it's against the 0-8 Jets, right? It's not.
But they always put up for us.
They do. It's a rivalry game.
We did talk about that
Well,
with
they
Cam
hate
last
it.
week.
They do. It's a rivalry game, but
And
still.
Flacco played really well. I mean, he had
Yeah,
that
no,
bad
he
throw
always
downfield.
That's on us.
Underrated,
We played,
like Joe
the
Flacco.
defense played terrible.
They did. But
There
they
were so
do
many
have good
missed coverages.
receivers, underrated receivers in their defense.
Okay, our
Flacco
secondary
fell.
is supposed to be one of the best.
No
in the league.
Gilmore.
We're down Gilmore. Oh no, we were down one
Joe
player.
Flacco was like the Patriots boogeyman though, where it's like no matter like it's
Yeah.
like he's like Mike Myers who just comes back.
I
from
said it in the
dead.
group chat. We made Flacco look like an MVP
Hey,
candidate.
Cam had a passing touchdown too, right?
No.
He just had 2 rushing.
Yeah.
So he has 2 on
We
the
had-
year.
we had
you
three-
said?
Still has 2 passes.
We had 3 touchdowns, so
Burkhead had one.
Yeah.
Bird had a rushing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, just looking because I said Cam was my must-play fantasy play, and he put up 250 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So he was pretty solid.
Like
Um,
255.
I did have the Pats minus 7.5, and they didn't cover that. But
What about Nick Folk finally hitting field goals? What was it, 51 yards
He's-
to win?
he's
been very
consistent.
he's steady, Eddie. He's gonna hit
His
80.
high was a 41. He's upping it every week.
Yeah.
43, now 51.
He's more consistent than Gostowski, I can tell you much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Love him missing.
Yeah.
That's a son of a.
One more thing on the Pats offense. Tied for last in the NFL with Miami in passing plays, 20 plus yards and 40 plus yards.
You know,
Pats are.
we
shows how much we need.
we were texting the group text. Cam's like 14 for 15. I'm pretty sure that's a stat I remember in my mind when we were like,
Yeah.
and Kyle's like, "Why are you impressed with him?" You know, but in my mind, that's when we started shutting Cam down, and I was like, "Why? Why are we shutting this man down? Jacoby's getting open, Bird's getting open, Izzo is getting open, and we're gonna like put this seal on Cam again?"
I love the short passing strategy.
Absolutely, let it run.
Yeah.
Like
And
just
then
keep going.
Try to explode every once
Yeah.
in a while for the play. We saw a play action attempt to, I think it was to Jacoby, wide open. Cam missed him, but like it's going
It
to
worked.
work.
Yeah. So and we see that. I'm sorry. I think the NFL overall on deep balls is awful this year. There is not a quarterback in the league that consistently hit the deep ball right now. And I know.
Rodgers.
Well, listen, Rodgers and Mahomes are going to get 7, 8, 9 attempts
Yeah.
every week at it. So if they hit 4 of them, they have a breakout game. You know what I mean? But like Foles last week had a huge wide open player and he missed it. Like it's every guy across the league.
I don't want to. Yeah. I don't
But
wanna-
I'm just saying, you're not seeing enough deep connections with some of the stud receivers we have in this league right now. But anyway, Jacoby Myers, we uncovered a little story this week that he went to a high school in North Carolina.
So crazy.
And Joe, you said he was a quarterback.
Yeah, he was a quarterback. He was pretty good too, but I think it was more like an RPO type.
Yeah, almost like an Edelman, like whatever. But it's crazy. Cam Newton worked out with Jacoby Myers at his high school throughout his entire high school career. So they've known each other.
You see what connection does when you have
Yeah.
that connection with another person, that comfort. Like
The
it
off-season
opens you up.
workouts and
Chemistry is very important.
And Jacoby, there was an article I think it was on ESPN about Jacoby Myers and Cam talking, and Cam just told him like you're undervaluing yourself. Like
Just
keep
keep
doing
doing
it.
what
Keep
you're
doing it.
doing.
And he
Yeah.
got his chance when Edelman went down. Unfortunately, Harry's been hurt. Like
Yeah.
he got his, and he's making the best.
And
It's
as
working.
a quarterback, a former quarterback, he knows what Cam is looking for in the routes.
Yeah, it's very.
He has
yeah.
that mindset, and he
Yeah.
also has that mindset of a receiver where, another guy like a Dobson or a Tompkins might be emerging, and then they get knocked off
Mhm.
because they have lack of confidence. But if you're a quarterback, you have to have confidence.
I always
So
wondered-
Myers has that.
I always wondered when you sort of see those receivers flashes for games, like you mentioned Tompkins and Dobson, but is it the Brady effect? Is it him not being comfortable with them?
That's what it seems.
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
every young receiver we brought in, he just is not interested in working with them. Like,
Maybe it's the work ethic or something.
Yeah, it's got to be something. I mean, it's a trust thing. You have to gain that trust with Tom. So like, I know he was also towards his exit strategy, right? Of like his arguments with management, or so we hear, right? So like maybe he just didn't have as much invested as they're bringing these young players. He wants vets to win. It makes sense, but like, I'm still excited to see what Harry can do. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
he's shown some big ball
I just-
flashes, but it's tough. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's gonna be an every down guy. And like when you look at guys like body comps, like a Julio and people like that, Julio can run routes. Julio can get open on slants. Harry can only DK. Harry can only give you a 12-yard comeback or a deep ball right now, and that's an issue.
end zone though. I mean, he's
Yeah, you gotta find an
perfect
end zone.
He's got
player.
He has that
Okay.
one. He has one touchdown this year, his second career, from Stidham in that.
Oh,
Chiefs
that's
game.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't played in three games, 4 games.
At least, yeah. I mean, it's
think
tough.
I think he's gonna play this
Right.
week, but who knows?
It's so tough. But
Ravens.
anyways, kind of moving on to this Ravens game. As of right now, we're an 8.5-point underdog.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch the Ravens, and I feel like I've been watching them more and more lately, they have a flawed offense, and our defense has been playing okay. I'm not worried about the receivers. I'm not worried about their running game. So it's like, if we can contain Lamar, can we keep it within a touchdown? I think we're going to cover the spread. I don't think we lose by 10 points. I just don't see it happening.
I think it's going to be a good game. Potential to win because Pats play big in prime time.
Yeah, Sunday Night
We
Football.
have to score points. The thing is, Lamar hasn't been
As dynamic.
He hasn't been getting the on-field numbers he's used to, so he's a little down. You can see in his pep, you can see the way he talks in his post-game interviews. So I think we can capitalize on him on his sort of.
Steve Smith, I believe on I forget what show he's on, but he brought up this week. It's like, stop trying to make Lamar something that he isn't, and let him be who he is.
We just talked about that with Cam last week.
Yeah, so and that's what's hurting Lamar right now. And I don't know if we have the guys in the front seven that's going to be able to contain Lamar, but the way they've been playing him, we don't really need to contain Lamar because they're not letting him run. They're not letting him loose. And that, I think that's going to benefit us the most because their receivers are not going to outmatch our corners right now. With or without Gilmore, I don't think their receivers are good enough. Hollywood is good. He's fast, but he's not getting open. And Lamar isn't a sniper. He's not going to blow you up with his arm.
So we struggle with containing mobile quarterbacks.
100%.
Right? Pat struggled with this. We also have the weather factor Sunday night. There's going to be like winds and like almost hurricane-like scenario possibly Sunday night.
Which equals running the ball more.
Which equals running the ball more. And for me, our run defense has been trash.
Yeah.
And
Our
I'm terrified.
Our run offense was not that great last week.
Our run offense was very good last week. We ran 41 times.
Yeah, but we didn't. Look at the production.
So Harris got hurt, which sucked because I think he was like 14 for 17.
14.
He said he's going to go this week, though.
Yeah.
It's not even like that.
No, it's okay, but that's the run game. So you're just hammering the ball. Burkhead had some good holes. Cam took a couple good rushes. I mean, I agree. The run game wasn't phenomenal last week. The week before was great.
I
So
disagree.
against the Bills,
I disagree.
no, it was good.
I
It wasn't
think
great.
14 for 70 is very good. Burkhead was like, what, 12 for whatever, 40, 50? And we also have
45.
45. Okay, so we also have Sony coming back potentially. Harris and Sony, if we just pound the ball, that could be very big for us, especially in bad weather conditions. But my fear is on the Ravens side. Dobbins is getting more touches. I don't know what.
But they
what
can't
you're-
Decide. Ingram's still out, but Dobbins,
we have that.
Edwards,
We're going to see that too. We don't know who this is.
But
Harris going
we-
to start or Sony going to start?
Harris. I would say
Harris?
Harris.
Harris.
Yeah.
I think Sony started.
Harris left with a chest injury, but he's okay. Sony's just coming back. He hasn't played.
From COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID thing, right?
Yeah, they're not just going to throw him out there.
I don't know. And hey, you know who's disappearing because of Rex Burkhead? Joe's boy, James White.
I know.
Slowly taking a
Yeah,
back seat,
he's had a
but
quiet year.
honestly,
He's
right
more of a
now
basket.
with his father passing and all that stuff, I mean, rest in peace to his father. It's the right move. Burkhead is getting open and he's finding holes when he's running the ball too.
He runs hard too.
Yeah, James White is not a great rusher. He's just not. He's not great at running the ball.
We know that though.
So,
Yeah.
I know. So when you play Burkhead, who's almost as good as a pass catcher, you can sneak the rushes every now and
James
then.
White is very dynamic in the passing.
Of course,
I
I'm just
think
saying. But Burkhead gives you that. You can't guarantee a pass when he's in the game. He can run it up the middle and he gets his 5 to
we
7
talk
yards.
about Cam not having weapons, the Pats not having weapons. They have a very, very unique backfield that they're not utilizing to the potential. There have been injuries. There has been White, obviously.
Missed a few games with his dad, and
So we have a very dynamic backfield. We should be capitalizing on that because that is our strength right now in offense. It's not receiving, it's not tight end.
and we have a pretty good offensive
We have
line
a
that
pretty
can
good
push.
offensive line,
That
too.
can push
There's
to
been
the
a few
front.
injuries in there too, but God, Josh McDaniels, please do something.
Yeah.
Like, get creative. That was your whole thing. Everyone thought, oh, he's going to be so creative this year.
And it goes
We've
back to
seen
what
some
you talked
reverses.
about. If the running's working,
Just
the play
pound
action
the
works.
fucking ball,
And
yeah.
the play action works. So
If
I
we
agree
go
with you.
6-2 the rest of the year, we have a 56% chance of making the playoffs.
And we're not.
I hope
Our
not.
schedule
I hope
is
not.
very
To
tough.
your point,
There's
Joe,
a path.
Joe, I'm glad you brought that up because actually in my notes here, I have the next 8 games or the remaining 8 games. So let's just really quick break these down. So home against the Ravens,
We could sneak it out with the weather. It's possible.
So you guys are all high on the Pats this week. I'm actually going the other way. I think this is the Ravens who are kind of getting some flack this year. They had a really good year last year, but I think they need to prove that they're legit. And I think Lamar is licking his chops. And I think he might have a field day this week because the defense has been playing better. But who do we have that's going to run a QB spy? Like who can keep up with?
Well, that's the issue. So when you talk about QB spy, you use your front seven or like a Patrick Chung. We don't really have a Patrick Chung. Maybe Adrian Phillips steps in a little bit in that role.
Yeah.
But you have to remember they still have Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews has not been getting the targets that he wants and he's used to. But we get killed by tight ends.
He's got 5 TDs in 8 games. So
But his targets are way down. His targets are way, way down. His receptions are down. He's actually rumors of him being a little discouraged. But I'm telling you, containing Lamar and containing Mark Andrews is going to be a weak spot for us.
Might see Duggar on,
it's going to be scary.
On Andrews. I don't know if that's a good
I mean, who is it? Also, they don't, Pats have struggled so much this year with a pass rush or lack of. Like, Chase Winovich, awesome last year. He's been pretty much invisible this year. Now, they're missing guys. You know, they have the most opt-outs of COVID in the league. But just really quick, so the schedule here, just real quick, like I was just looking through. So, home against the Ravens, we'll see how it goes, but probably a loss. Then they go to Houston. That's a toss-up because Houston is playing better. So that could be a loss too. This is why I kind of got mad about the Jets win because this team is kind of like they could very easily lose like the slew of games. Then home against Arizona. Arizona is like one of the hottest teams.
Yeah.
Like between Kyler and DeAndre. Then they go at Herbert Candy Mansion at the Chargers.
Rookie of the year.
I will give Luke credit. Herbert, I watched him first
He's
of all.
a stud.
I feel really bad for Chargers fans because how many times can they lose a nail biting?
There's so many close.
But it's a good thing right now for them.
Yeah, it's
because they're moving up in the draft. And Bosa's out, isn't he?
Yeah.
Both of them are out.
Their defense is
Herbert's a stud, so Luke called that one, so I want to give you credit where it's due. Then they go to the Rams, dude. That's probably a loss. Then they go at the Dolphins. Dolphins are hot. Who knows what Tua's going to do? That defense is playing out of their mind. Home against Buffalo, probably a loss. And then home against the Jets. And who knows with that one, dude. So they could realistically, when's the last time we looked at the Patriots schedule and say they might lose out? That's why that third win, I'm like, you're in this weird area where it's you're probably not going to make the playoffs, but you don't want to win, you don't want to make 5 or 6 wins. And then you have, instead of a high pick now you're in the not middle of the first round, but later first round. And it's that's why for me, it's sure, that was a fun game. It was an exciting game. But like you said, Vic, a buzzer beater game. Those are fun, but what did that really do? It's just a win over a bad team in what is probably a lost year. They could finish.
It just goes back to the fact that we can't draft very well anyway, and we'll most likely trade that first round pick because that's what Bill does. I think that is Bill's weakest point, and it's not even his drafting; it's his balls. He is afraid to make a mistake. He would rather take a high risk, high reward with a Division II safety in Duggar in the second round and trade his first round pick again. It's crazy. So we're going to be
a safe pick.
Essentially,
he wants a system pick.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so aggravating. But back to this game specifically on the Ravens, Jacoby Myers had a huge week. He was not playing against Peters, and he was not playing against Humphries.
That's true.
Are we worried about Jacoby Myers getting open this week? And if he is closed up, how the hell do we find a way to win this game?
If Baltimore's smart, they double Jacoby and see what
Bird or Gunner or someone.
Yeah,
is Nikhil playing this week?
They said he's most likely going to be playing, but half their team is questionable for this game.
It always is, though. It always is.
Yeah.
I think Jacoby's not going to be open, especially if Peters is on him. Peters is one of the best corners in the league.
And Humphries is a solid number 2. So
and Ravens have a pass rush, so we're gonna have to still get a lot of quick balls out. I'm hoping that the weather is bad, so it's a messy game.
You guys noticed that Jacoby only plays on one side of the ball.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And I'm pretty sure that's the side Peters plays. Because Peters only plays one side of the ball. I know that much. So that kind of worries me because if you switch sides of the ball and Peters stays there, it's kind of like what we had with Revis. Revis only played one side of the ball. Remember that, Joe? So it's I
remember the Super Bowl.
Richard Sherman is his left side only. It's 100%. I won't go to the right side. Don't even try. So what do you guys think, the best opportunity is for us to actually win this game? For me, I think we have to run the ball. I mean, Myers is going to get shut down. Harry's shown to be useless so far. Izzo might get open a little bit more in the middle, and Cam's starting to get that connection going. But I'm sorry, if Sony plays this week, Harris most likely is fine. It was just a minor chest injury. Burkhead's look good. I mean, I think the only way we win this game is if we run the ball. What do you guys think?
I think, yes, we have to run the ball. Like, that's our strength. We already talked about that. It's our strength. We need to pound the ball. We need to chop up this time, too. We need possession.
Who gets the most touches this week? Running the ball.
I think it's going to be Sony.
I think Sony's going to come back and grind it out.
I really do, yeah. I think it wasn't a major injury, right? It was COVID. So
I think it was like a foot or an ankle or something
Was it?
minor,
I thought it
and
was
then
COVID.
it played into the COVID
Okay,
thing.
so he's fine.
Yeah.
He's the starter based on what we've seen so far.
You think he's
Harris-
still the starter?
I think he's still a starter.
Dude, Damian Harris is an absolute stud.
But
he absolutely is.
Everyone plays down Sony because he's not an Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry,
He's not
but
flashy,
Sony's
but
averaged 4 yards per
Yeah,
carry
he's-
his entire career.
I know you guys aren't high on Sony.
Not high, he
I'm
does
I'm
his
not high on
job.
Sony.
Yeah, he just does his
know.
job. So not high on him, he just does his job. I'm not down on him by any means.
So in my notes here, maybe I was like speaking from the heart when I was doing the notes last night. I put hopefully Damian Harris is still alive because he got wrecked last week. But
Yeah,
he's had an interview and he actually said like it's no big deal and he's good to go. But then I actually put here maybe Sony Michel will get his ass back on the field now that his job is in jeopardy because he's got some competition.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue with Sony Michel, and he's had some big playoff games, but like he can just never stay on the field, man. It's like.
Well, it might be usage too, but I like what you brought up about competition because we're gonna find out what Sony is and like what the Pats feel about him with Harris and Sony at the helm.
He's not, it's kind of like, not to bring back to Tom, but like when we brought Jimmy G in, dude, maybe Tom got complacent, like, and then we brought in sidecars, Joe likes to say, and then, Tom, what do you want, two rings?
Sony and Nikhil, I know for a fact, do not take care of themselves off the field. Like, I know for a fact. I can't personally say it on here, but I know for a fact.
How do you know for a fact? What do you elaborate?
I just know someone who knows them.
Scott Zolak over here. He's got some insight.
Several players.
They partying or?
Yeah, those two particular players, they're good players. They have potential, but I feel like they're using their other time, their free time, for something else. When they could be more so Nikhil, if I'm being honest.
That's interesting.
But
Arizona State, baby. It's hard to shake that partying. It's hard to shake that.
I think Nikhil's kind of in the doghouse where like it's still early, but he hasn't been on the field much either, and it's like put up or shut up. I think with Sony has had better moments, so I think he has a better chance. But that, like Luke said, that is a crowded backfield.
I mean, when you look at Sony in his career, 480 attempts, 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 4.2. and only 3 fumbles. So, I mean, you're averaging over 4 yards a carry, which is an NFL above average running back.
Yeah.
Only 3 fumbles in 2 and a couple game seasons, and 14 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's been a good, serviceable running back. He's not a game changer for us.
But that's the difference. Like, I'm glad you said that because he's not a game changer. You're right. Where Damian Harris, we've watched him a few games now. Every time he touches the ball,
potentially a game
he could
changer.
go to the house, dude.
Yeah,
I
mean,
I like Sony for a compliment piece, though. You're right. He fits the flow.
He's a great running back too, I think.
Let me go back to the competition though, because we're gonna see what's up with Sony. It's either gonna be Harris takes over the backfield and Sony's stranded, right? Or he's done. Or it's a 1-2 punch. It's a win-win, and especially in a trial year.
The Falcons the year when they
look what happened with the Saints with Kamara and Ingram. Like that was what did you say?
He said the Falcons the year they lost the Super Bowl.
I think it's beneficial.
But to this week, I think the Patriots have a chance to win. And back to most touches or like who has a big game, I'm still going with Jacoby Myers because him and Cam have been popping off with the connection. And I feel like we always say like, this player is so good, or Michael Thomas or Julio. And I'm not comparing them. I'm not comparing Jacoby to Michael Thomas.
You should not.
But he's coming out of the woodwork. He's working his tail off to become this decent wide receiver for us. Why are we putting a ceiling on him? Like, why can't he go out there this week against Peters or Humphries?
Why? Because he's undrafted. So was Edelman, Brady was 199. You're right.
Why can't he go out there and be like, all right, I just got 8 touches, 100 yards.
Put up 10
See what he ends.
It's funny, Joe.
But if he doesn't, it's not easy to do, and it doesn't happen frequently with the Patriots. But
and I think pressure will be a huge thing. I mean, if Cam has time, he'll find the guys.
I feel like he knows he's like. They're like sort of looking at me now to lean on a little bit.
Which should also be a negative, means the defense is actually watching them a little bit closer, but who knows?
So Harbaugh already brought that up.
What they saw?
Yeah. The scouting has changed.
He got to where he is for a reason.
Real quick, Vic, before we transition, like for me, I don't know how about you guys, but like when I look at N'Keal Harry and I look at Jacoby Myers, they're like opposite ends of the spectrum for me, where it's like N'Keal Harry looks like he's a bad route runner. Like I think Joe might have been him and Sony. You said like maybe not. They don't put in the effort.
Work. Yeah.
Whereas I look at Jacoby Myers and it's like he's fighting for every down and he's like fighting for a contract and he's like that. He's like a string bean. So he's like I'm playing, like I'm not big enough to get open, but like I'm gonna get open no matter what.
He's up on the sidelines when he's not on the field. Like, he's very engaged.
The effort for me is like Jacoby's fighting for every down, and N'Keal looks like because he's a big dude. Like I don't know if he thinks he can just go out there and act like a Julio Jones or like just produce at that. Where it's like
I still don't think we've seen everything from N'Keal. Like
Right,
honestly, like, I don't give a
field.
shit what he does off the field. Like you can do lines off fucking strippers, assholes, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like as long as you're in like there,
You're in shape and you're producing.
Yeah, like it's all about production. It does not fucking matter what you do off the field. It really doesn't. As long as you're obviously like Antonio Brown stuff. Like you can't have any domestic violence. You can't act crazy. But like if
you don't care about the other player,
that's I mean, what do you?
That stuff's hard to show. I agree.
It's also hard for us to assume, right? Like you don't know if they don't care about the other player or the organization. They just might be living their life and also an NFL player. Like it's just.
I just think he's got a short leash. Where I think Patriots fans and probably Bill too. I think they're looking at this kid and they're like, dude, it's put up or shut up. Where it's like, are you gonna get on the field? Are you gonna produce? Or like we got to move on from you?
Yeah. I mean, it is the Patriots factor. Like it's still Bill's team, so like you cannot fuck up. So that definitely plays into it.
Yeah, Joe said it last week where Cam will never. We talked about Cam like not having his swag, which I think he did. It looked like he had a little bit last
drinking
game.
the Patriot Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but you said it's gonna be Bill's show no matter what. And so it's like, dude, if N'Keal Harry isn't gonna show up, why would we waste our time on you? They're not
Well,
gonna
the first round draft pick.
So Pats are underdogs, 8.5 points. I'll give my take on it. I think Pats cover the spread, but we're going to lose 30-24. They're going to lose by 2 field goals. My take on that is I think the defense is going to bend quite a bit, but they're not going to break and completely get rolled over. I think holding the Ravens at 30 points with kind of a lackluster defense. No Gilmore this week.
Is that official? Is Gilmore out?
What's going on?
Yeah, Gilmore's still out. They're using the COVID protocol right now. It seems like, right?
He had a
knee issue.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, here's the thing: they didn't trade him, and now it's who knows? There could be some behind the scenes. Like
JC did have a rough. We didn't touch on this.
Also, JC Jackson with the pick this week.
Yeah, I did say he'd have 2. He only got 1.
He got burned a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That was the first bad game I've seen from JC.
Thank God Perriman and not Crowder, right, Luke?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So for me, I think they cover the spread and lose by 6, keep the game close. And again, that is encouraging for me. I think we're going to see Cam have another decent game. I think we're gonna feel good about this loss overall. You guys?
I don't know. My head and my heart are in 2 different places where I think the Patriots could could build off that exciting win from the Jets. Mm-hmm. It was the Jets.
See, you said exciting.
The win. It was a good game.
It was a great comeback.
I don't know, man. I just think that the Ravens smell blood. I think they need to prove to people that they are legit.
So what is your take?
Like I said, I'm in 2 different places. My heart says
the
Pats are going to show up. I think the Ravens probably win by 10 plus.
Okay, so they don't cover the spread.
Double digits.
8.5, you said, right?
Yeah, so they don't win by double digits. Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting.
Joseph?
Yeah, what do you got, Joe?
23-20 Patriots.
Wow.
Oh, that's you got a victory.
So I'm similar with that. I think they cover the spread. I also think they either lose by 2 or win by 2.
You think another Nick Folk?
Ooh, okay. All
And
right.
it doesn't necessarily have to be the game winner. Just Folk at some point.
Folk it.
Yeah,
Third
okay.
quarter.
All right, so that's our Pats talk. All right, guys, moving on to the Masters. I am the only big golf guy. I know Joe watches quite a bit of golf, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. I'll let you guys know, my immediate pick, and I talked to my family's a bunch of golfers, was Dustin Johnson to win this. I love Dustin Johnson. He's had a great couple of years, and he had a few weeks off, which sometimes is bad when you're feeling good. But Dustin Johnson's kind of a slimmer guy. I think the rest and recovery was good for him. He's also a mental guy, so some time off away from the tour was probably really good for him. Right now, he's tied in the leaderboard of 9 under with John Ram, who was a heavy favorite to win it. Answer, Smith, and Thomas. 5 guys 9 under. I think these scores are phenomenal, especially, I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, it was a huge delay because of the rain. So, they got out late. Some guys even finished late. Bryson DeChambeau, I don't know if you guys saw.
He's a big
top this week. He was a favorite, right, DeChambeau?
A lot of people were leaning his way. Ram and DeChambeau were heavy favorites. Bryson DeChambeau, I know you guys aren't huge golfers, but he put on a lot of size this year. He's hitting over 350 yards off the tee. He's an animal. big issue with not having a crowd this week. Hits a ball a few yards into the rough. And when we're talking rough at the Masters, it should be very visible and easy to find their ball.
Pristine cut grass.
Pristine cut grass. They lost his ball.
Are you
The
sure?
markers should not find his ball. He spent 3 to 5 minutes, they estimated, that he was looking for his ball, and he finally said, fuck it, I'll drop a ball, and he lost a stroke. Not even 5 minutes later, they found his ball right there, easy, clean play.
How do you
He
do
lost
that
his
with
stroke.
all the coverage, all the camera coverage? How do you do that?
Such a joke.
Yeah.
Absolutely embarrassment. And shame on the PGA. They should almost give him that stroke back.
You know
I know
what?
you can't do that, but they
I was
almost
going
should.
to ask if that's possible.
You know
It's
what I
not.
heard? I heard on 98.5 that someone called in and said that they cut from ESPN to ESPN Plus at the start of the second round and switched to SportsCenter.
Well, what's going to happen tomorrow is it's going to cut from, what is it being covered on right now? The Masters. NBC to CBS with the same announcers to cover football. It's so weird.
Yeah,
It's very
it's
strange.
weird.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
The
they
Masters
didn't
should get more
plan for
coverage.
this.
100%.
They
I mean,
usually-
as a, I don't care for golf. I've never
Yeah.
played it. I love driving range, but like I'm not a golfer. It's a huge thing. It's a huge deal.
It's the biggest
And
tournament
you
of the
should-
year.
you
There's
should
so
have
much
complete coverage of
competition
this. It's
left.
I think the biggest issue with it being in November compared to the spring is that you have college football and
It is
in the
okay,
NFL.
so it is a
So
different
you're-
TV schedule.
yeah, so you're
Okay.
competing with the Saturday and Sunday schedule, where in
I'm-
April it's like, oh, skip the 1 o'clock Red Sox in April compared to, this. It's usually like my birthday weekend, the last weekend of April or the first weekend of May.
It's not so-
Yeah, you remember my birthday. Side note, Tiger Woods, his first bogey-free round in years in the Masters, and he won it last year. So listen, I said that he's not going to defend it, but I said he's going to get a top 10, which would be his first top 10 of the year. He looks phenomenal. He's playing really tight, really sharp. I think we're going to see a much more aggressive Tiger this weekend because he's down big. He's going to try to cut some corners. He's probably going to open up the driver a little bit more. He has to get aggressive if he wants to win it.
He was 6 under last I looked, I think, in the second round. I think he had an even round, right?
Yeah, he went backwards. Yeah,
Did he?
he dropped a bogey. But it's kind of been that way. Dustin Johnson, I forget what they call it, but 11, 12, 13 are the hardest holes on the course, and he birdied all 3 and then bogeyed the next 2.
That's
Yesterday.
what's crazy about golf, though. First of all, anyone who argues it, absolutely the hardest sport. Like
By far.
Tiger Woods is a perfect example. How can you dominate a sport and then he had so many struggles? It's like
injuries,
Yeah.
like other sports like the NHL and stuff. You can learn how to ice skate. You can learn how to stick handle. Like golf is. I mean, everyone struggles with golf.
You miss by a centimeter and you miss by 100 yards.
It's such a mental.
So it's-
That's. I'm sorry, but that's with every sport.
It
No,
is-
golf-
more-
Every
more of an
game is a game
individual-
of inches.
yeah.
It's more of an individual sport, golf.
It's a complete individual. I mean, yeah, but you also have
You're
you
not
have to
relying-
have the caddy there or someone to help you with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the window for error or the margin of error for golf is so much smaller. Where like Cam Newton can throw, he can lob a pass, and if it's slightly ahead of the receiver, they can make the adjustment. If you are a little bit off in golf, you're going to shank that
I mean, if
shot.
you're a little bit off in baseball, it's ball
Strike,
strike.
strike,
And
yeah.
if it's a little bit off in NBA, it's a
Just
miss or make.
Either way,
It's,
there's a lot of competition left in the Masters right now.
It's
A lot of
crazy.
all right,
winners.
yeah, I'll stop.
I mean,
saying that.
if you
It's very cool. It's
if
very
you
cool.
look at everyone
Don't
who's
sleep on Patrick Reed. Like those,
Is there anything better though?
Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, sorry, Jared, I didn't mean to
Fleetwood
cut you
Mac?
off. It's so. Is there anything better than like a Masters Sunday when Tiger is like in the hunt, dude? I
oh
remember.
my god.
First of all, I kind of forgot that he won last year because if 2019 feels like 10 years ago at
It
this
does,
point,
yeah.
and it was like a whole different time.
It was
But,
on the low though. The Masters was delayed last year.
Yeah.
So.
yeah,
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I miss the days, like my early 20s, spending my Sundays hungover with my dad, just like watching golf all day, especially big tournaments like this. But I mean, when you look at, you got Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, Webb Simpson, Louis Oosthuizen, Fleetwood, Justin Rose. I mean, Patrick Reed, like you said, Matsuyama. These guys have all won major tournaments, and they're right here.
You know what's amazing about golf
Sundays
is
would be nice.
the coverage that they get. So they have. You just mentioned all those names, right?
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with a lot of them. You still have Tiger. You have one player that can just captivate, basically like
So
a generational
yeah.
player, and just
Okay.
transition people. Like I'm interested in golf, not a lot, but like just for Tiger. I want to know what Tiger's
So
doing.
leading right into that, because that was one of my questions for you guys. We can talk the LeBron Jordan stuff, and I think Brady's obviously he's number one. There's no conversation with any other quarterback anymore. But when it comes to Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, he's one behind Jack in Masters,
Wow.
or in the Masters and overall major championships. But I always look, I'm sorry, 30, 40 years ago compared to nowadays, like golf was still coming up. Now golf is historically the oldest sport, in the United States and really in the world. Like modern day
We'll
sports.
fact check that.
Modern day sports. I mean, you were golfing in the 1800s in Ireland and Scotland. So modern day sports, it's probably the most historic sport. So when you look at Tiger Woods coming up through the 90s, 2000s, and now compared to like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s with Jack, Tiger's absolutely, he was transcendent. He changed golf. I mean, did Nike ever look at golf? Like, was Titleist and like all these big major companies came out because of Tiger Woods, in my opinion. He created this coverage. One,
Nike Golf was created
because of Tiger.
Yeah.
And when you look at like black athletes, he's on the Mount Washington, right? Of black athletes.
He was the
Of
highest
course.
paid athlete in the world for like 5 straight years.
At least until the soccer guys
In
took
a
over.
very predominantly white sport too. Like that's during his
Absolutely.
come up. Like that's
And-
it definitely he was part of that change.
Quite frankly, that comeback, I mean, that's potentially one of the greatest comebacks in sports history.
Of the last 5 years.
Yeah,
When he wins the Masters, when
Yeah.
everyone
Unbelievable last year.
counted him out,
All
everyone-
the struggles
the
he had, all
back
the coverage
injuries.
on it.
he'll
Yeah.
never be the same. He's
Yeah.
a terrible person. He came back, won it in front of his kids. Like, he did the right thing.
And what's crazy, obviously he went through some, psychological help and all that stuff, but he spoke after his first round on Thursday, and they're like, Tiger, how does it feel like to be back? There's no crowd, blah, blah. He's like, honestly, I feed off of the crowd. Like, the support I've had through my darkest and deepest struggles, I feel it, I hear it, so it's really hard for me to not have them here, but I have my son and I have my girlfriend here. How many girlfriends has he had
I was
since
gonna say,
his
which one
wife?
is this?
Who knows? None of our business.
Come on.
But he's kept his shit together. He's also controlled. He wants to play every weekend, but he says, you know what? I'm almost 50. It's time for me to play when I feel right, because he wants to kind of get that reputation going into retirement. Like, he wants to let everyone forget the past. He did a great job managing his schedule last year. This year's been a little different because he did have a little bit of injuries. But for me, Tiger Woods is the absolute GOAT. Who he has to play against, the numbers. I mean, there's 5 guys 9 under at the Masters right now. The numbers that you're playing against nowadays compared to 30, 40, 50 years ago, way more competition.
I agree. That's
And
a good perspective.
And technology is so different. Like, guys can buy an extra 20 yards on their drive by upgrading their drivers nowadays. Or changing their ball, things like that.
Yeah, whereas Jack couldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a huge part of golf fans that think that Jack is the greatest, and then the younger guys maybe that think that Tiger is the greatest. Jack has 18 majors, Tiger has 15. You're at 6 and 5 with the Masters, but in prime, Tiger was better.
Pure dominance.
That's a whole new conversation too, because it is that age gap or that technology gap too, and like
They don't have
training
a
and
wood driver.
Exactly.
you're always gonna have that argument, and no one's ever gonna be right because there's best players in a specific time,
It's hard.
And
and
even
they're
for
completely different games, completely different
The,
animals.
the
You're always
closest
gonna have that
the
argument.
closest comp to Tiger Woods as far as age and success at that age is Phil Mickelson. And I'm sorry, Phil didn't really become relevant until mid to late 2000s.
He was on that Entourage episode.
He was great on that. But when you look at that, Tiger dominated through the 90s and the early 2000s, and then other Rory, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, like some of these younger guys are starting to take over the game, which is phenomenal for golf. But Tiger dominated for so long, and no one his age has really even, like, Phil has had a good career, obviously, but no one has truly like taken over that, the reins from him.
Yep.
So for me, Tiger's a GOAT. I think Tiger will be in the conversation tomorrow. I think he's going to have a huge round today, but Dustin Johnson's going to take it
Yeah,
down
I didn't
tomorrow.
answer. Tiger is the GOAT. When you're watching TV, golf fan or not, if you see PGA tournament, Tiger wins in the info, you're gonna stop for a second.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, just think about it. Like, you can say Tiger and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's like Jordan, first name basis, where it's like I think it's hard for us too, because like none of us watched Jack, right? Where it's like we're all too young, so like it's tough because like we saw Tiger in real time, and but like Joe said, the majors, Tiger's 15 to Jack's 18. Tiger does have more overall tour wins, but I think like you said, Vic, the dominant run that he had, I think speaks to like Tiger's dominance, and like you said, the field is like
It's just it's a different game right now, and I think I just harp on the technology, and like you said with the performance training, like when you look at Bryson DeChambeau, he is a monster. He's literally one of the biggest guys in in golf right now, he looks like an NFL linebacker, like a tight end. It's just not even fair.
Different athletes, yeah, different times.
I really like Koepka.
Koepka's
Brooks,
the
yeah.
I
Brooks
mean,
is
not to
solid.
win it, to win it. Jeez, I'd love for Tiger to win it.
The field is loaded though.
guy. Yeah.
I can't say it till
It's just
Sunday.
it's too
Till
deep
the back
right now.
nine on Sunday.
Back now on Sunday.
All right, guys. NBA draft on Wednesday. I'm pumped, slightly nervous, but really excited for this. We got Minnesota leads off. They got number 1, Warriors number 2, the Hornets number 3. God, I hope the Hornets make the right pick because I'd love to see them get competitive again, or even relative. But if the draft stays the same, I'll let you guys know who I have going. Top 3. We won't go too deep into it. We'll go more Celtic stuff. I have Minnesota taking LaMelo Ball. I think James Wiseman is the number 1 potential guy for me. But Karl Anthony Towns, if they take Wiseman, Cat's saying, I'm out, my bags are packed. Where do you want to send me? I'll go anywhere. So I think they have to get LaMelo. I think he'll complement D'Angelo Russell really well. It'll give you a 1-2. The downside is Melo's not a great shooter, but he's so goddamn athletic.
Yeah.
I think that will really make that team dynamic, but they need to get a small forward, power forward to play with Cat. Or Cat's going to be unhappy. Number 2, I think the Warriors go after James Wiseman. I mean, when you look at the Warriors, comeback team of the year, Curry's healthy, Klay Thompson's healthy, you got Andrew Wiggins, who looked pretty good for them last year, Draymond Green at the 4, and then you get James Wiseman, who can play, a good pick and roll guy. He's 7'1", he's got the wingspan. I think you have to take Wiseman there and fill that role. And then Charlotte, I think they have to go Anthony Edwards, mostly because I think it would be the best man available on the board. I think there'll be a log jam. They have Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, and they have a third guard as well.
Malik Beasley?
Malik Monk.
Monk, yeah.
So I think all 3 of them are playing well. If I'm them, I'm looking to shop Terry Rozier as fast as possible.
His contract's tough to...
It is, but maybe you send him to like a Clippers or someone like that who could upgrade at point guard a little bit. At least for the predominant number 1 starter. But you got to. I think if you have to go Edwards, you have to do something. Granted, Edwards does play more of the 2, but all 3 of those guys play the 1.
Edwards is definitely undersized for a 3, but he has so much length.
And
he has
some
like a
size
7'1"
to him,
wingspan,
yeah.
and he's buff. Yeah, he could maybe slide into.
And when you look at Devontae Graham's a little smaller, but Terry is long,
Yeah.
and so is Malik Monk.
Yeah.
So I think you could potentially play 2 of your 3 starting guards and play Edwards at the 3. I mean, it's positionless basketball in 2020, so who gives a shit? I don't know if you guys have any insight on who you think might go 1, 2, 3, but if you guys don't, we'll jump right into Celtics stuff.
Kyle,
So.
do you have any way for the?
Yeah, so what I did, kind of preparing for this, I did guys I love and then guys I'm not so high on. I think they should, first of all, real quick, looking at the draft order here, you always expect the bad teams. I forgot that the Warriors had a terrible year, so seeing them at number 2 is a scary thought.
Scary. Yeah.
If they, like you said, Vic, if they have Klay healthy and they have Steph healthy, and then they add the number 2 pick, it's oof.
You know what's weird? Just while you're on that, because it's crazy, the Warriors' biggest need is a center.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves are in this awkward position as they have Karl Anthony Towns. I am sending Draymond Green at number 2, and then the Timberwolves get number 1 and 2 back to back, and they're in a rebuild. That's what I would do, because here's the thing. They got Wiggins and they got Karl Anthony Towns. They brought in Butler, Jeff Teague. They've brought in guys and it has not worked. Start over. Try it again.
Trade Wiggins back to Minnesota?
I was going to say, Wiggins a former Timberwolf.
No, I mean, I would send Draymond personally, but I'm just saying I would start all over. Just my opinion. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I don't know if the money works, but yeah, that's
I think they all have salary cap space except for the Warriors. The Warriors would have to figure something. But Draymond's making $25-30 million a year, so that it will cancel each other out.
So for me, I love Anthony Edwards. I love Anthony Edwards. 6'5", 225, explosive, lethal in transition. I think he should go number 1. Personally, Wiseman is another guy though that I love there. I mean, 7'1", 240. I mean, if you look at his highlights, dude, that's a big dude.
He
And
only
super
played
athletic.
3 games because he had the college basketball scandal. But yeah, he's definitely an interesting pick.
That's why it's he might slip, but maybe sometimes teams get a guy who should have gone 1, 2, 3. Maybe he might slip, but I think he's just so athletic and so dominant.
Yeah.
He's just a big boy. That side, the Celtics, we'll get into this in a bit, but they've been talking about trading up and trading up. if the Celtics can trade to like maybe 3, I want them to go for Wiseman because that would be a huge get.
Well, we'll get into that after.
Joe,
Sorry, one guy I'm not high on. Obi Toppin, if I'm saying that right, out of Dayton. I don't know. It looks like he's good around the rim, but he looks like he has like kind of a limited offensive game. To me, it looks like he's like very stiff when you go around there. So
I think a lot of people look at Obi as the next Adebayo, and that scares me. I'm sorry. I don't think Adebayo will last. Like
that's such a big statement.
It's a big statement, but I'm sorry. These undersized centers don't typically last. They at least not in a dominant.
I can't believe you just said that.
See, I love him. He's more Obi to me, more like a Frank Kaminsky, where like he's like a 4 to me, where I'm like.
But that's what I'm saying. People are looking at Obi as the next Adebayo, and I'm sorry, Adebayo was lucky because he was a mid to late first rounder, and he turned. No, I love Adebayo, I really do. But you can't go chasing because you liked a guy. Like you can't make the direct comparison. I'm sorry, you're gonna end up screwing yourself.
Comparison, but Bam is not. He's not a one-hit wonder. He's a multi-skilled player who can slide into multiple positions, guard multiple positions.
By the time he's
developing
30,
a shot.
By the time he's 30, he won't be dominant.
So you think he's a flash in the pan?
Not a flash in the pan. I'm just saying
as a
a 5, 6, 7 year guy. He's not going to be a 10, 12 year dominant player.
So do you if he ends his career as Jeff Green, is that a failure in your mind?
From where he's at now, yeah, it's too far of a fall off. Too far of a fall off. Yeah.
LaMelo, Carson Edwards, Killian Hayes, my top 3.
I love it. He's dropping his bombs.
Do you have any picks for 1 through 3, or just players that you don't like? Like who do you think? Who do you think Minnesota should take? Who's the number 1 pick?
Well, like I said, I love Anthony Edwards, so I think Minnesota should go with him.
Okay. And it would work because they have D'Angelo Russell who plays the 1, and he does shoot. Where it seems like Edwards is more of like a drive and a body physical guy, so that would kind of balance well. End of the day, it seems like Karl Anthony Towns wants out of town if they draft this number 1 pick. Yeah, if they draft this number 1 pick. So unless you have some good insight. What do you got? 1, 2, 3. Absolutely.
Bam. So I think that Anthony Edwards is going to be the number 1 pick. I think he should be. I think regardless of what happens with Towns, I think D'Angelo Russell and Edwards would work very well at the guard position together. And they could maybe slide. I think Malik Beasley is their 3 or their 4, but he's their 3. So I think you have 1 through 3 solidified. Depends on what happens with Towns. They could trade him. Who knows? Even if he stays the year, I think that Anthony Edwards improves them for the future. I would love Golden State, as you mentioned, is so dangerous. I think that LaMelo Ball or Wiseman works. I think if LaMelo Ball is available at 2, that's very interesting for Golden State.
Are you going to take number 2 and have him come off the bench though? Because he has to.
Absolutely. Imagine your bench gets amazing. Your rotations get so much deeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Clay and Steph become spot-up shooters with LaMelo handling the ball in the second unit. Like
LaMelo will never handle the ball. Not with Curry. Curry's the
Curry
best
off ball
point guard in the
screen. LaMelo just throws it to him. He'd have 35 points in the second quarter.
I mean, the thing we have to remember with LaMelo is he's played 2 years across seas in 2 different professional leagues. Yeah. He's, as a 17 to 18-year-old boy transitioning to being a man, he's been balling out with men. So it's potentially a really good advantage, but it's also potentially a bad scouting opportunity because some of these guys, Daniel Tice wasn't he an MVP in New Zealand or wherever he was, or a defensive player of the year, something like that. But then you come here and you're a good player, but you're not.
It's a different league.
The competition level is
completely different. But he's still young. He's 6'7" too, and he's a point guard, and he has handles. He passed the ball. What was it 17, 7, and 7?
Yeah.
Right. He's a very good player. He just can't shoot the ball. That we've seen his brother.
He's better than Lonzo. He's a better shooter than Lonzo.
We've seen his brother develop a shot too. So who knows? I think that honestly upped his draft potential is seeing his brother finally be successful shooting the ball and getting better. I think that potential's there.
Will he be better than Lonzo Ball?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's hard to say. I mean, Lonzo's kind of moving along pretty quickly in his development.
And he's on the Pelicans team, the young Pelicans team too.
They're not in a rush.
Lonzo, I think, was overhyped by his dad, and then he kind of fell off, and then now I think he's kind of working his way back.
His passing at UCLA was just so good.
I think LaMelo's going to be better. I just think he has more confidence and swag to him. So
he's on the
Pelicans,
right?
NBA.
He's on the Pelicans. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think Wiseman. I think Golden State should take Wiseman. Just
it fills that role.
It fills that role, but also Wiseman with Charlotte works because they don't have to change a lot of what they're doing. Their
And
guard
they
play
can't-
has been successful.
And they draft the worst big men. I mean,
They
Kaminsky, Zeller. They have one of the Hernan Gomez.
They have a lot of depth too. Like it would be very easy for them to start trading those additional pieces with Wiseman in there and getting some return.
Because a Kaminsky or a Zeller is good coming off the bench for
I think they have
contending team.
They have
Little Zeller.
They have Little Zeller. I think they had someone else. But anyway, I think if Wiseman's available at 3, Charlotte needs to take him.
You know what's interesting is that like it's a shooters league now, but I feel like that also works in the favor of when you get a big man like an Embiid. I think I mean, time will tell, of course, but like Embiid still seems a little limited in his game to me.
Embiid is amazing.
He's a monster, but
he's
like
so good.
Wiseman looks like a more athletic Embiid to me. I mean, they have.
He's definitely gonna be a little more athletic. He's gonna move a little bit quicker, but I can't knock Embiid. I hate him, but I love him.
Wiseman is very raw, but he's also very. I think that's why he's so high. Is like he has limited college experience, but there's so much potential there, and plus he has an NBA body already.
Yeah,
like that's
he's
essentially half the battle for some of these like good players. If you're getting thrown around, like you can't drive the lane because you're gonna get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, well, to my point, because it is a shooters league, but because there are so few dominant big men, it makes Wiseman that much more valuable. Where it's like that's why I hope the Celtics, if they do make a move, have the Celtics swoop up because
that's a good transition. Why don't we get into the Celtics?
All right, yeah. So I'll kick off right away. So we're gonna land the Celtics in 3 different points. If they draft 14, 26, and 30, just like they have it lined up right now. If they trade up to, they package those picks and go and get, a top 3 pick. And then we're also going to look at if they trade out and go get a potential player to come join the team. Mm-hmm. So for me, number 14, I have Jalen Smith, Maryland Terpy, 6'10", 230, he's a 7'2" wingspan, 15 and 10, 2.5 blocks per game, and he shoots free throws. Yeah. So for me, for this entire draft, I want us chasing, I want us reaching, because here's the thing. We're either going to hit a home run and we're going to get lucky, or, if we don't hit a home run, they're not playing anyway. Yeah. So I don't want us to draft. My stance is trade them, trade out, trade up. I don't care. We can't fill 3 guys. So that's who I want at 14. Number 26, I want RJ Hampton. I know he's projected to go higher than that. I have a feeling he's going to slip. People did not like that he skipped college basketball and went across season. He didn't look great across season in a weaker league. New Zealand is an okay league, but I would have liked him in Turkey, maybe even in Spain, but instead he went to New Zealand. I don't blame him. Nicer weather, better looking girls. I don't blame the move. If he somehow slips, I think it's a great reach at 26. It reminds me of the Robert Williams draft pick where he was projected to go much higher, but he fell to us. That's what I would love. I don't think he falls, but that's who I'd like there. Number 30, my boy, Vernon Carey, Duke Blue Devil. He is a monster. He's, 260 pounds. He's going to throw guys around. Worst case with Carey, he gives us a different look down low. Like we talked about in the past with Taco Fall, he's just, you can't move him. You can't go around him. He is in your way. Yeah. That's what Vernon Carey is, but he can move a little bit better, and he's a little bit more proficient of an NBA player. Yeah. Kind of a reach with him. But I mean, the numbers were there. 18 and 9 and a block and a half per game. Granted, he plays at Duke and you got good talent around him. But I want reaches. Let's try to get lucky. Let's not play conservative. Oh, let's get Semi Ujiri off the bench.
No more safe picks.
No. Either if you're picking at these picks, try to hit a home run, or guess what? They sit on the bench like every other draft pick we get.
And that's the thing for me is I don't think we're drafting. I love the Jalen Smith pick. I think he is very dynamic. He can shoot the 3. He's defensive too, and he's a 4.
He's a 7'2" wingspan,
and he could be a small 5, which we know
works
Brad
for us
fucking
anyway.
loves.
Yeah.
But we're too deep at contract wise.
We can't
5.
draft all 3.
Well, even at the 5, like we need to dump Poirier. We need to dump Cantor. And we need to play Williams at Tice, and we can get a 3rd guy. And Jalen Smith, I think, would be perfect. Mm-hmm. He may be available in the 20s, maybe. I don't see that.
Oh, I said he's a reach at 14, but
I don't see us drafting, and that's why I don't think talking about if the Celtics draft is relevant.
No takes. That's fine. You don't have to go.
I think Jalen Smith, if he's there, would be a great pick. I think that.
See, I would be okay if we took 26 and 30.
If Kira Lewis slips too, as a backup point guard, and he's electric. He's so fast. Having that speed.
But it kills me because we have Edwards and Waters that shows the same stuff that he showed. So it's like, what do you want to do?
But they didn't play and they didn't perform. Like Waters is still he's going to be like G League player again.
I think so too.
And it's just his size didn't work. I think he had some flashes, but his size didn't work. And who the fuck knows about Carson? I was so high on Carson Edwards when we drafted him. I was like, that's the steal of the draft.
Yeah.
We got a shooter.
Great March
And
Madness
he
last
fucking
year.
disappeared.
He had a great like G League too, or whatever it's called now. But
He fucking disappeared. He couldn't play defense, and he couldn't shoot the fucking ball, which we drafted him for.
So you have Jalen Smith at 14. What do you guys have? 14, 26, 30.
So like, I'm glad you guys brought up. So for me, I did like if they keep all 3 picks. So at 14, I had Kira Lewis Jr. actually.
Okay.
Just a couple notes I put in here. He's like a slashing, scoring point guard. 18.5 points a game last year, 45% from the floor, 36% from 3. Isn't bad. I put in my notes here too. He would fill that sort of Terry Rozier crater that's been left over there since he left. That Brad Wanamaker could not. I actually had Jalen Smith at 26 if he's there.
If he falls, that would
Yeah, that would be huge.
Steal.
If we
Now
keep
that's-
that pick too and like trade 14 to 30, fuck it.
And these two I kind of
Perfect.
switched where like after I wrote this down, I was like I probably should have been Jalen at 14 and Kira at 26. But like who knows the draft? There's always one guy in the draft that like just falls for whatever reason, like whether it's behavioral issues or lack of experience.
Now, let me ask you guys this, because you're talking about him potentially falling. Would you guys be okay if we maybe traded 26 and 30 for future picks and kept 14?
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
One guy, sure, but we can't draft 30.
If
so.
I'd love to see Sadiq Bey too.
Joe was high on him
yeah,
last
he
week.
was high on him last week. His 3-pointing would be huge off the bench. He
I
has an
still go
awkward
with
shot.
Jalen Smith.
I mean, either hurt player works, and we don't. God, please play like Langford or Williams next year. Like we need to see what these players are. But I think getting more depth, and I can't believe we're talking about more young depth on this fucking team.
It's tough.
Like we're Eastern Conference Finals, right? We're
3 out of the last 4 years.
3 of the last 4 years. We don't need any more young players. We already have young players that don't work in the system.
We need vets.
We need vets, but we also need shooting and bigs.
Yeah,
We
give
need
me a
extra
Matt
bigs.
Barnes. Give me a Kyle Korver. Give me some studs off the
Give me
bench.
something.
Something.
Yeah.
Kyle, who'd you have at 26?
I had Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
last
that's
year.
if
he falls. Oh, my God.
And I had at 30 my sleeper pick, Tyler Bebe.
Yeah.
At a Duke, I was watching a little bit about him last night. I have him as like a poor man's Jason Tatum, where like underrated passing ability, 6'7", 218. Colorado is sort of like a smaller basketball school. I know they've kind of come up lately, but I put in here he could play some time at small forward for the C's, maybe off the bench, add some scoring to a bench that desperately needs it, as we saw last year. So that's kind of a sleeper if he falls. I just like his when you look at Jason Tatum, like. He didn't play much at Duke, but he has like an NBA-ready body. I don't think anybody expected him to blow up the way he did. But this is kind of like, I look at Tyler Bey and I'm like, that kind of reminds me of him where like, if I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes, wow, how did he fall so far?
So that's like, when we look at like Kira Lewis or whatever the hell you say his name, I hate SEC.
It's not that hard.
I know. The Kira is just kind of weird.
Kira kind of
I hate SEC basketball. I feel like very few of their guys transition well to NBA. And that's where I try to I'd rather steal like an ACC, like a Boston College guy who has to play against Duke, UNC, Wake Forest. Like, I'd rather steal someone from a different conference. Like the Pac-10's blowing up a little bit with Oregon, Stanford, Cal. But like, I don't know, the SEC, it's so like, I don't know.
I'm a big Michigan State fan. College basketball.
Of course,
I
like
love
Cassius Winston.
Cassius Winston.
Yeah.
I think if he's available at even 26, if we're keeping that pick,
He can
or if
shoot.
he drops to 30,
And
he gives us more guard depth, which he gives us shooting off the bench.
he's been coached by Tom Izzo. He plays in March Madness, deep into March Madness every year.
Yep.
So he's got some like high-profile basketball under his belt.
Yep.
He might even have a national championship like 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure. So
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure
I really
he's
like his game.
Yeah, he's a stud. He got hurt late last year, which really
He's
killed
also
him.
another not undersized, but he's 6'1", so like he's still another small guard we've been putting in that lineup. So that's the only hesitation. But I think if we can get, we need another player off the bench. We need another guard off the bench because I'm pretty sure. I mean, depending on what we do, right? Wanamaker's probably not
He's
coming
gone.
back, and the guard depth we have now is,
Marcus is our only backup guard.
and yeah, we can't rely on him to be a ball handler.
He has improved me, and he has impressed me, and he has improved. But I agree. I'd rather him playing off the ball a little bit. Even if it's an off ball screen, he gets the ball back. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'd rather someone else handling the ball. Joe, did you have a 14, 26, 30?
So I have Jalen Smith at 14 and then 26, 30 trade.
Okay.
I went to see what Danny Ainge had to say, and he said yesterday, some people say we overvalue our guys, and we do. We value our guys very much. Our team has been to the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years with this very young core, and that's not nothing. We would like to take a step, and right now that step could be player development and our young players just getting better and more experience. So
That's
that's
seriously-
It sounds like
fucking
Johnson
sense,
Stan
Danny.
so it scares me, right? Because I think we can all collectively agree that we need to take a step and shake things up at the core. But it sounds.
Let me ask you
It
guys.
sounds
this.
like fucking restart.
Okay.
And
Alright.
Danny's been known to say though, like this is sort of what I'm leaning towards to do, and everyone. I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to do my thing.
So let me ask you guys this. You guys know my Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum comparison is to Klay Thompson and to Steph Curry. They took 4 or 5 years for them to both really develop into all-stars. 1. And 2, it took a coaching change plus Draymond to get them over the hump to win. We are still in that Warriors window of creating a dynasty. The question is, are we going to draft the right guys to build? And I do think that those 2 guys can lead us to a championship with the right pieces around them. But I think we are doing it the wrong way. Like we can't keep drafting. I agree we need some young guys.
We're too far into this to back out.
That,
We're
I agree.
way too
That's a
far
good
into
point.
this to back out. We were so over our potential in the beginning. Like we shot out of the gate.
With Isaiah
We-
Thomas was a mistake. Like
I mean,
bringing in those guys.
It wasn't, right? I just think that we had so much success too early that this thing is it's too far gone to roll it
We
back.
have this like cap on our ceiling. It's like
Yeah.
we shouldn't have been at the ceiling yet. And
Last year was the best. Like, if we got to the NBA Finals with that team, that honestly would have been worse for us. I think maybe they would have loaded up a little bit with more vets, but I think that this team is still so raw. Like Jaylen and Tatum are still so raw that it terrifies me to see us roll back. I think.
So do you think we should trade for Miles Turner over Drew Holiday?
Well, let's get into that after. When you get into the trade stuff. So let me ask you guys this. If Jason Tatum, and I think it's anticipated that he's going to sign his max deal before the season starts. I think the free agency starts the 22nd. No, the money's always there when it's your homegrown guy. Would you feel better with Tatum locked down for 5 more years? Jaylen has 3 more. With them saying, let's trade up and draft another potential star to go with them. Like for me, it would have to be James Wiseman. Would you be more comfortable knowing that Tatum's locked up and saying, okay, here's our big 3 now. We'll stay relevant, maybe keep Kemba or Hayward, whatever. And we stay relevant and we compete for it. But we're okay with these 3 developing together for a dynasty. And say the dynasty kicks off in 2 years. Would you guys be more comfortable with that? Knowing Tatum's locked up.
If he's locked up, yes, but you can always demand a trade. Like you can't. He can just back out of his contract, demand a trade. Like this is such a players-friendly league. Just because you have a contract doesn't mean you're locked down.
So
and he can say no. But
do you
then
think that
the team
Tatum and
goes apart
Jaylen
for 4
are?
years.
Do you think they're unhappy?
I mean, we don't know, right? Like,
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I think that their success of themselves is not accurate. I think that they think that they're much better than they are. Not honestly, mostly Tatum. I think that he thinks he's a top 10 player in the league. He's not. By any
He's on the
means.
cusp.
He's not a top 10 player in the league.
He's on the cusp.
He's not on the cusp. On the cusp,
Where would you put
being
him?
top 20.
Yeah, he's absolutely top 20. And
Okay.
when you look
That's
at
not on the cusp.
no, but so when you look at other teams and other guys, right? And we'll get into it, but like James Harden shoots the ball 30 times a game. Russell Westbrook touches the ball 30 times a game. You know, when you look at some of the more fringe guys, those guys for me, it's hard to compare because of the touches and the dominance.
Yeah.
Where
He gets a lot of touches.
he does get a lot of touches, but our team success is also more than the Rockets and more than some of those teams. So I look at things different ways, and I think he's pretty hard to cover because of his length, his size, and his step back and his fadeaway. So anyway, we won't go down that road too much.
The fadeaway and step back. No, I'm going down the road. I'm paving this motherfucker. All right. Listen, he the step back and fadeaway. That's his trademark. He can't drive the ball. He complains about every foul. His length and his size is great. Tatum. How many times have you seen him drive the ball?
He should drive more, but don't say he can't. He gets lazy in his fadeaway.
Prove it then.
He gets lazy in his fadeaway.
Trade Jaylen Brown for James Harden.
Get out. Get out.
Stop.
Get the fuck
All right.
out.
Anyway, if we are looking to move up Where is the move and who is it to? I will give you guys my take. I am saying we have to call the Timberwolves. They do not want to take this pick. If they do, they are going to lose Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm telling you right now, I want Hayward, Langford, and Cantor gone, plus 14, 26, and 30. I want them all gone. See you later. If you look at Minnesota, they get a serviceable backup with Enes Kanter. He can keep the offense flowing for them.
Okay.
Langford would most likely start the 2 next to D'Angelo Russell, and Hayward will start the 3. So I think they get 2 starters and a good backup, plus they get to draft later in the draft. I think
we get what? You're saying 1?
we would get number 1 and we draft James Wiseman. And that's our center of the future.
Why not trade for Towns then?
They're not going to give up Towns. If they're trading
for 14, 26, keep 1?
If they're trading
Hayward?
if they're trading number 1, it's to keep Karl Anthony Towns. So now they get a good small forward who can average 15 and 5 and 5 with Hayward.
Okay.
They get to draft a couple of guys later on and keep developing.
Okay.
So I think they're filling the pieces. I don't think it's a long-term move for them. I think they would want Smart or Brown. But this is what I would be trying to sell because they get 14 from last year. They get Cantor, who's still a good serviceable center. He's not for us, but he's a serviceable center. And they get 3 draft picks.
I think your logic is skewed a little bit. I think that if they can keep 1, get 14, get 26, get 30, get Hayward, even
they're not getting
get
Karl
Smart,
Anthony.
give up Karl. Why would you not do that trade?
Of course I would love to.
This is a very deep draft. Can we agree on that? Like, it's a pretty deep draft.
This is a very
right?
deep draft. I think.
It's based on
Low ceiling but depth, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah. So
we're not getting superstars.
That's fair. I think there's we can go into
there's a lot of
sleepers,
potential.
but you give up Towns for 3 first-round picks, Gordon Hayward, maybe on a 1-year deal. Who knows? Maybe he signs an extension. Probably not. But you get 1 year of Gordon Hayward. You get maybe Langford, and you get maybe Smart. I would think he has what two years left on his contract. Maybe. How do you not take that with Russell, Smart, Hayward?
I think if they're trading number 1, it's to keep Karl Anthony Towns and to continue building around him.
He might not want to stay. So
well, he signed on for 4 more years. He already has an extension. So
perfect. Welcome to Boston.
Yeah, listen, I would love Cap. Don't get me wrong. I would give up Marcus and Jalen for Karl Anthony Towns right now today. I absolutely would, but I don't see it happening. I think if Minnesota, you guys would be out of your mind if you wouldn't do that deal. I mean,
I love Jalen Brown. Not to cut you off real quick.
I love Jalen too,
My
but
untouchables, Tatum, Brown. Everyone else is expendable to me.
It depends who it's for. For Karl Anthony Towns, that's different, not for Harden.
Imagine Towns against Philly.
Imagine Kemba, Tatum, and Cat.
I know. It's definitely interesting.
So and you keep Hayward.
I don't think Hayward stays regardless.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you guys have if we're trading up? Who's it to, and what are we shipping off, and what's it for? I'm trading up into the draft.
I'll let you trade now.
I said, Danny, bring the wise man to Boston, please.
So who are we trading with?
I don't know. There's so many rumors out there right now where it's like we're talking about moving 14 from Miles Turner. We're talking about all 3 picks to Atlanta and then shipping it for Drew Holiday. So I mean, who knows?
That's gonna happen.
Joe's quote scares me now because I really hope Danny doesn't think that Boston fans, especially we do oversell our guys. We think the world of everybody.
We're green teamers.
When you said Romeo Langford would start another team, I don't know if I agree with that because I think you're overselling Romeo. But I know you're a big Romeo guy, so we all have different opinions. I hope he does. I do not want Danny to stand pat. I don't want it, like we said, I don't want him to play the safe bet.
So you want James Wiseman, but you don't know how it's going to happen. Joe, what do you have for trading up? Do you think it's a potential?
I have no idea who we're going to trade. Jalen Brown. I want Miles Turner over Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday is just a little... Turner's 24, right? Holiday is 30. And I think that Holiday...
Yeah, Turner's 24, 25.
Holiday likes to handle the ball a lot. We already have a bunch of guys that like to do that.
But having that frees Kemba up, I think, a little bit, to have the ball out of his hands and maybe, hey, Brad, do some off-ball screens. For the love of fucking God.
No, you're right. I think Turner fits better. He had... he wasn't great last year, but the year before it was like 38% from 3. So, that's pretty good.
So building right off of Joe... I think Danny is throwing some smoke at us, and that's not the real fireworks. I think Danny's all in this year, and I'll tell you right now what he's going to do. You ready? I already know. I texted him this morning. He confirmed.
I remember you telling me that.
All right. I have Hayward, 14, Cantor, and Romeo going to the Pacers for Miles Turner and Victor Oladipo. Sounds crazy, but I'm telling you right now, Depot's just doing his job. That's what you're supposed to do. That's publicity. He has to say, no, I didn't say that stuff. I'm committed to the Pacers. He has to save face because, that's just what you're supposed to do as a professional.
Okay.
So then we would get Turner and Oladipo. Then we're going to make another trade. Kemba and Robert Williams, 26 and 30 for Drew Holiday, and a future first-round pick.
Robert
Okay.
Williams is your guy.
Hold it up.
Robert Williams is my guy.
Yeah, that's
He's
pretty
my guy.
So,
So now,
would you cry if that happens?
No, because now we look at it. Drew Holiday, we get a more physical and a better defender over Kemba. Similar offensive game. He's not as good of a shooter. I agree with that. Let me finish over.
Yeah.
We get Oladipo, better defender, more athleticism, can run the floor. Starts at 2. We keep Jalen at the 3. Keep Tatum at the 4. Then we get a true pick and roll center with Miles Turner who can get you 10 plus rebounds a game. He is an upgrade over Tice. We also keep Marcus Smart to come off the bench. We keep Daniel Tice to come off the bench. I love Tice off the bench. He's not a starter for us. He plays the same role. He comes off the bench. He's a good pick and roll guy. He'll block some shots. He'll dive on the floor. He'll fight you if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll have Grant Williams, and we still have our mid-level exception to get us a veteran shooter off the bench. We get more athletic, better defensively, and the offense flows through our 2 number 3 picks, Jaylen Brown and Tatum. There is no more Kemba's in number 3. There is no more what's Hayward's role. We eliminate that logjam, and now Oladipo and Drew Holiday become our hustle guys 24/7.
Can I talk now?
That's my moves. All in. Get us some more starters.
So Drew's on Pelicans, right?
The money adds up and
Drew's
matches.
on Pelicans, all right?
Yes.
So Kemba for Drew doesn't make sense at all since Lonzo Ball is their ball carrier. So that trade's done. I appreciate all the homework
Lonzo's
you
been
did.
coming off the ball.
I appreciate all the
Lonzo
homework
plays
you
off
did.
the ball.
I think that was really good.
Okay.
You're not taking the ball out of Lonzo's hands.
Okay, first of
and
all,
giving it to Kemba, and then Lonzo
okay,
too.
listen.
That's silly.
Listen.
Or Kemba the two. He's
Okay.
undersized.
Okay, let me talk. You
But
can.
you just talked for 5 minutes.
I know, but
no, I appreciate all
that.
that.
This is a debate, so you just came out. So you can look at a screen and say Lonzo Ball is a point guard, but you have to watch basketball to know how much he touches the ball.
Okay.
Lonzo does not run their point. Brandon Ingram does.
Okay.
Brandon Ingram
Which
brings
is
the ball
strategic
up.
for them. That's a good
Instead
move.
of the point forward. So Lonzo's been playing off the ball, which I think is a poor decision because off the ball guys are typically shooters and scorers, where Lonzo's one of the best passers in the
Facilitator,
NBA.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it doesn't make sense. So I can see your point there. I think Kemba would bring great leadership, and what he does for us too is kind of control the guys a little bit. Imagine him with Zion and Brandon Ingram. And Lonzo's flashy. I agree. I get, but Lonzo's big.
It doesn't make sense. in the
When you
offense.
look at Lonzo, Lonzo's a big dude,
he is,
and he's so long.
but he's a oversized point guard. That's been his
That's
track
his,
record.
that's
Because
his
he's a facilitator.
position. Yeah. That's his position.
Kemba is a shooter, but what is their defense now? Who does he guard? He guards a point, right?
Yeah, but they have Zion, Derek Favors who block shots. I
Derek
mean,
Favors a free agent.
He's gonna stay. I think they have to sign him.
They should, but
If not, they
if
do have.
If Kemba's contract is suddenly coming,
I would let
40
him go.
million,
I would let him go because they have Jackson Hayes. I love
I
Jackson Hayes.
appreciate all the work you did on that. I really do.
Yeah,
but it's
watch it happen.
It's a dreamscape.
I know. Sit back and watch
It's
it
a
happen.
dreamscape.
Okay. This is our one time we're allowed to fantasize. What do you guys got for trades?
So who's playing backup point? If that trade, your trade, Vic, you got Drew starting, right?
Yes.
So who's playing backup point?
Marcus Smart, like always. So you'd have Drew, Marcus Smart,
We
Victor Oladipo.
we still have no bench, so we're the same team.
Actually, no, we got better because Daniel Tice went to the bench. Grant Williams is going to get a little bit better, and we
And we
still
got
have
one
a mid-level exception
Okay.
to go sign
I
somebody.
do like Tice to the bench because
He's a good bench
He's
player.
a good energy guy. Yeah, him and Smart off the bench
Miles
makes
takes
sense.
his role as a 5.
That's
And
why
now-
the Turner trade makes sense.
And look how deep those rotations get. Look how deep. Like, I'm sorry, I think those rotations got so much better. Instead of Hayward, you have Oladipo and Drew Holiday playing with the backups, or Oladipo and
Yeah,
Tatum.
but the backups are still like Grant. We saw.
Anyway,
Grant's
we're
play.
just fantasizing
Do
about
not
the trades.
fucking interrupt me. Let me
Sorry,
talk.
we're fantasizing about the trades. I don't want to get off topic.
The trade. Miles Turner for Gordon Hayward works. Straight up.
The
Gordon
money doesn't
Hayward,
work.
Miles
That's it.
Turner. If he opts in, it does, right? If he opts into the player option,
They'd have to give us more. So the picks that
because of their cap, does it work straight up with the?
for our cap it works. For theirs, I think they'd be taking on too much money. That they want to give up more. I think
That's
they,
easy to finagle because we have
Yeah.
Poirier on like a $6 million contract who's a fucking garbage man. So like it doesn't make sense. So whatever, we take some half-wit contract off their team, Turner for Hayward. It works, and
they're gonna want
fills a
draft
need.
picks too, of course.
Give
but
him
that's fine.
26.
They'll want more. But yeah, I
Why do they
agree.
want more for that?
Because Turner's a better player than Hayward at this stage in his career.
You think?
Yeah. He just doesn't work. He just doesn't
Hayward's
work with
been
Sabonis. He doesn't work with Sabonis. That's what happened. And they didn't
Oh,
think
Turner.
Turner and Sabonis don't work. That's why. And here's
So
the thing.
makes their team better.
Why
It makes
I
both teams better.
Why I think they give up Oladipo, one, they hit a home run with drafting Holiday last year. Holiday's a stud. So they start Brogdon, Oladipo, they get Hayward at the 3, Sabonis at the 4, they can figure out the 5. That's why I think they give up Oladipo, because they're overpaying Oladipo when they have Holiday, who I think Holiday will surpass Oladipo. Oladipo will fit our system so well. That's why I like a big potential blockbuster. And like I said, I highlighted my trade scenario as all in.
Yeah.
Is it 100% realistic? No, but the salaries match, positions match. I think it's realistic. Will it happen? Probably not.
If we go based on history, we're gonna have a very frustrating offseason. I think we'll make a trade or two. I think Trader Danny will come out, but he's gonna come out
I think
with only pants on. He's
Trader
not gonna go all
Danny's
in.
nickname, I think, is on the line a little bit. It's kind of on the hot seat where I think he needs to make a big splash.
He has, but he's done these fucking
I mean,
trades. He's
Kyrie,
one-off-
Horford,
yeah.
Hayward. I mean, he's brought
Kemba,
pieces in.
like, yeah, he's
Marcus
done-
Morris, but
he's
it's
done
like
this shit. But it's I agree. A big move would be awesome, but it's
that was my
don't-
all-in.
I don't think it's happening. If we factor in history, the quote that Joe found, and like 3 draft picks, I'm terrified.
That quote that Joe has is like hasn't
I'm
shaken my
terrified.
boots.
Yeah,
I said that
that's-
yesterday morning.
How
Yeah.
many times can I just worry that Danny Ainge is like next year? How many times can we lose in the Eastern Conference Finals before we realize that we need to shake something up?
Amen.
If-
Now
if-
Vic hasn't shaken up a lot, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm quite on his thing.
All right, so what do you got?
I love Kemba. Like I want to see at least one more year with Kemba to see if this is going to work or if it's going to be something that doesn't work
Yeah.
here. I don't know. For me, like I think I'm more on Luke's side where like I think Hayward is a much better player than Miles Turner. I think
But
the
he's
Celtics-
not what we need. We have Tatum and Brown at 6'7". I'm just
He's
saying.
gonna
You know,
say trade him. He's about
sorry.
to agree with me. Let him
All right.
finish.
But I think the Celtics are over. I like Miles Turner a lot, but I wouldn't do a straight up Hayward for Miles Turner because I think Hayward gives you more value. But it's a need for the Celtics at center, so I think the Celtics may be looking at that and saying, well, we do need a center. And I do really like that idea you said, Vic, of Tice going to the bench because that would solve their issues a lot. But I don't want to get rid of Robert Williams either.
Listen, I'm so high on Robert Williams. I don't want to get rid of him. I just think he has a lot of value still as a trade piece, and I think
He does.
I think his value either goes up or extremely down this year. And I say kind of sell high. He had some flashes in the bubble and in the playoffs that you can send a little highlight reel and say, hey, this is his potential when he's healthy.
Yeah.
You know, so I would just say sell, not high, but
Sell high.
sell while it's still there.
His value, I think, is higher than it's been. Probably
Yeah,
Because he actually played some fucking games.
Yeah, so I think the market is there. So
Yeah.
sell.
And I don't have anything more to add, but the Turner for Hayward for Turner straight up. The thing is, I mean, when is Hayward gonna play?
He's been
Consistently.
consistent.
I mean,
Yeah.
the bubble, he was so good until he got hurt.
Yeah.
He's
So-
always getting hurt.
So let me ask you guys this. Rumors of Harden and Westbrook going around. Would you want either one, and what would you be willing to give up?
Jaylen Brown,
For who?
James Harden,
For Harden?
Stop.
and
We're gonna have to give draft picks up too. Like if
That's fine.
they go full rebuild and Harden and Russ went out,
That's
then
fine.
they're
I'm
gonna want all the
I'm
picks.
sorry.
I'm Jalen because
Russell.
Tatum and Hart. No, Tatum.
Yeah. Listen, here's the thing. James Harden is the best scorer in the NBA, and he is a top 5 passer in the NBA.
And I know
He
he's
is.
selfish.
He's a selfish prick.
anti-team.
And I hate that system. But I'll tell you this: if we saw Harden, Tatum, and Miles Turner,
Yeah.
which is possible, and then if the Rockets can keep Russell Westbrook with Jaylen Brown, how dynamic would those two be together?
I don't think.
I'm just hypothetically. Those would be so crazy.
It would be very interesting. I just think that we've basically sold the farm for Tatum being the savior of our organization. I think if we get
It would be
another
James
star
Harden.
that is clearly better than Harden's a top 5 player
Yeah.
in the league. If we put Harden with Tatum, we're gonna see Tatum exit.
And that was
stage
my
left.
Kyrie issue. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm not in on Harden. I'm just saying if Brad can make it work, they potentially win.
And
the
that
championship.
gives. I mean, we get Harden for a few years. Like if Tatum
While
bounces, we
Tatum
have
keeps
Harden.
propelling, maybe.
Yeah, but I think so. Let's say Tatum leaves stage left. We still have Harden. Maybe we get a big. Maybe we can keep Kemba, Harden. That's the
I know.
fucking Pelicans though. That's the Pelicans thing.
Yeah.
You have Harden have the ball. So like, I don't know. I don't.
If it happened,
something
who would
to
you
do.
rather? Would you rather Westbrook or Harden?
Harden, like hands down.
100%, right?
Westbrook is Westbrook is so underrated. Like, he can't shoot the ball well, but he's such a fucking freak athlete.
He averages
He
triple
triple-double
double
twice.
He goes
I've
balls
never seen him get tired.
He's a freak of
And
nature.
when he checks in the playoffs defensively,
When he is
he's
fucking-
no one can
What
get
was
by.
that triple-double record he broke? Oscar Robertson or something like that?
Yeah, and it was
Didn't he average like
two
two
seasons in a
2
row.
or 3, yeah, it was unbelievable. So he is underrated as fuck in the NBA, but like
I just don't want.
also I said this to you, and I'm hesitant to say it. We're on a platform that people might hear, all our handful of viewers, but but listen, Harden and Westbrook, I don't think they're winners. And I say that I just don't think that they will ever win a championship. They'll have great careers, but they'll be.
So do you say about Paul George then?
They're Charles Barkley's. Paul, I mean, look what happened with the fucking.
They're-
I'm just saying.
Who
Look
are
what
they?
happened with the Clippers. You put.
They're sidecar Jimmy.
Listen, I just think that they are exceptional talents, but can they work on a team? Can you build a team around them? Can you build a system
And
around them? We
today-
saw I can't even say the coach's name.
D'Antoni, yeah.
We saw him create a system in Houston that it did work in the regular season, right? It was.
But then you have a
phenomenal.
6'7" shooting guard playing
Then
center.
you play, then you have a 7-game series against 7-footers. But like
They were missing Yao Ming.
I mean, it's just the system does work. You can build a system around it, but can that system get to the NBA Finals? I don't know.
Would either one of you want Harden or Westbrook on this team?
So this is for me, like scheme fit is more important to me than overall talent.
Same here,
Like Luke said, I don't think anyone can deny Harden is a stud. I mean, absolute scorer. I thought he wasn't as good of a passer. Vicky sent me like a text or a screenshot the other day where he's averaging like 8. I didn't know his passing was that good, so I'll bite the ball now.
While averaging like 35 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is-
He's a ball heavy
Yeah,
guy.
The problem is I think Kemba is a better fit in this scheme. Like to me, I know Kyrie is like a head case, and we'll see this year if he has success with Brooklyn with KD if that actually is going to work, or if Kyrie is just a lost cause and no matter where he goes, it's not going to work. I just feel like if you brought in Harden, like when Kyrie was here, we saw that he hogged the ball, he took all the shots. Jalen and Tatum regressed; they stunted their growth. Like I just think the same thing would happen where Harden, he's going to put up 35 a night.
Dustin Johnson just tried an eagle on 2. He's 11 under right
He's a
now.
stud. DJ's a stud.
Jesus.
But if Tiger's in the race on Sunday,
You got to root for him.
watch out. I don't
So
know.
you're very high on Kemba.
I love
What?
Kemba.
All right. So let me ask you guys this, and we'll all answer the same thing. What has been the biggest downfall of Gordon Hayward?
Injuries.
His health,
Yeah.
right? Kemba Walker has a
He had-
month off with an arthroscopic knee surgery. It's already rumors that he might not be ready for day one. Danny says, they're very hopeful. They think it could happen.
He won't be.
I don't think he
I
will
don't
be
think
either, and
he-
I don't think he
if
should
they-
be.
Yeah, if they played.
But he's had one
Well,
questionable. If you look at Kemba's career, he played like all 82 games.
Listen,
This
no,
is
I know,
usually
but he's,
injury too.
but he's 30, and it's his first injury. We were all like, oh, Hayward's going to come back, and it's taken him up until the bubble to really look like Gordon Hayward, and then boom, rolls the other ankle.
Yeah.
And listen, I will never blame injuries on a player, but it is part of the anatomy. It is what it is, right? Kemba Walker has a knee issue. That doesn't go away. It's gonna
So I
flare
think
up.
he's
It's
back.
lingering. It's like a hamstring. Or like a
so
connective
so
tissue.
that's why I'd say sell Kemba now. He had a decent year. He's a good positional guy. He's a great system guy. I would say sell him. That's just why I'm down on Kemba. Are we gonna go through another $35 million a year knee injury or ankle injury or whatever?
I think you got to give him at least one more year. It's just so fresh. I mean, last year was his first year in the system, so he's getting to know the
works.
guys. But he works so
It
well.
works, yeah.
He has these interviews where he says like, this team, Jalen and Jason, like it's their team. I'm just the role guy. If you bring in someone like Harden, he's gonna go me. It's my team. I'm taking 40 shots a game. Then Tatum gets unhappy. Then if they keep Jalen, then Jalen gets unhappy. And now you get in that logjam situation in where it's Harden. I don't know. He's just like a.
We need. Joe brought this up. I think we talked about the Kemba factor too versus the Kyrie factor, where
Kemba is a winner.
Kemba came in. Kyrie came in and said, "Follow me," and couldn't lead. And then Kemba came in and said, "Guys, let's do this together," and it worked. So I think that's the difference between those players. Kemba
Yeah.
works with those.
Definitely an
with
upgrade
Jalen,
over Kyrie.
with Tatum.
Different mentality.
But I think we also have. I don't care about the injuries. I really don't. I think he's one knee injury. Like I know it's knee and it's scary, but like it works. It works with that core.
That's what I'm saying.
It's gonna just work a lot better with Holiday, Oladipo, and Turner, but that's just me.
The fuck?
I'm just afraid that they have a good thing going. If we were 3 or 4 years into Kemba and it wasn't working, 100% get him out the door. But we have had like 1 year, one shortened year with Kemba.
I think-
and I'm like,
Yeah,
if
there's
Alright.
also COVID.
give
So-
this
so let's-
group another run.
So let's play this down and we'll try to answer it quickly so we can move on to our NFL takes. If the Celtics stay with their power five, is what I like to call them, Kemba, Smart, Jalen, Jason, and Hayward, they draft 14, 26, 30, and they get one mid-level exception, so one $5.5 million player. Can they win the NBA championship this year?
No.
Can they make the championship this year?
No. They might not even make the Eastern Conference Finals because of all the depth in the East now.
I think they have to make a move.
So say they bring in Jeff Green, whatever it is that you want to fantasize about at $5.5 million. So that means they have to be a vet, they have to be trending down, they have to be a 15 to 20 minute per game guy.
Yeah.
Does Grant Williams take a big step? Does Robert Williams take a big step? Does Edwards get into the mix or whoever?
We fucked ourselves.
I think they have to make a move.
Fucked it. They have to make a move 100%. The team doesn't work as it does now, like with Hayward there because of the money, because we have no supporting cast. I think the core would work if we were better with the money. We weren't.
We need a dominant center.
We do need a big, yeah.
If we're playing three
We need a
small
big.
forwards,
Benching a big. Benching a fucking
Yeah.
big.
benching a big.
We've said that since week one.
It's
I know
what it
it's
is,
not
what it
every
is.
week, but like we've been saying that week in and week out.
It is what, yeah. Nothing's changed,
Yeah.
and I think the depth. Let me 1 second. The depth that we may see in the East could be now extrapolated with Harden and Russ now available.
Potentially on the move.
Russ goes to fucking Knicks. I mean, Knicks is a black hole, but who knows, right? Like
And
Harden,
the Nets-
Harden goes to. There's rumors of Harden to Philly for Simmons.
Yeah,
How terrifying is that?
I don't think
With-
Philly would do that straight up.
they should.
Why not?
Yeah,
You
imagine
think
Harden
Ben-
with
Are you kidding
him.
me?
You think Ben Simmons is equal to James Harden?
Are
Ben
you
Simmons is a bum.
kidding me, bro?
Ben Simmons is a bum.
He's not a bum.
Oh, you mean Houston shouldn't do that?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
They would give
Yeah.
up part
Oh,
of
Philly
Justin
would have to
Fields.
sell more. I would
Oh,
guess
seen.
they'd probably have to put Matisse Thybulle in there, who's a great defensive rookie last year.
I don't think Ben Simmons is a bum. I think he's an amazing playmaker, but he doesn't have an offensive game. They're
I'm
gonna get
sorry.
Injuries.
Dude, Harden, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid, I mean,
Even if you give up Harris and Simmons,
they wouldn't do it.
I-
Too much money to.
it's a lot of money. But even if they were able to do that somehow, right?
It would be great for
Fantasy
Philly.
mode, oh my god, Harden and Embiid? Are you fucking kidding me?
And the
That
Rockets,
go.
you have to keep kind of growing and
Yeah.
going. So, I mean,
Which
I
honestly might be bad for them, but
yeah, you almost want to rebuild, but
Yeah.
you know. So let's move on to our typical weekly stuff. NFL lock of the week. Who do you guys have as a bet?
Joe, who you got?
I'm going with the Bengals beating the Steelers in Pennsylvania
Wow, that's
That would be
What's
upset
the
of year.
line on that?
by 10 plus points.
Wow. What was the line on that? Did you have it?
Probably 6.
That would be the upset of the year.
Steelers minus 7.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Steelers minus 7.5. All right.
Wow.
All
All
right.
right.
It's in Pitt, you said?
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
all on Joe
For
Burrow.
me, I usually just go winner or loser. For this one, I actually have the over under for the Cleveland Houston game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Over.
Yeah, so the over under is 46. I think there's going to be a lot of points. So we got Baker. I think Big Dick Baker's going to show up. I think he's going to have a big game. Deshaun is a stud. I think Houston's getting a little bit better. So
Houston's offense is flowing a little bit more. Cooks and Fuller getting going.
They are, yeah.
It
They're starting
it
to hit
seems
those.
low. For
I
those
like
two
I like
teams.
Austin Hooper coming back with OBJ going down. I think Hooper will have a very big game.
You also have Duke Johnson instead of David Johnson this week as a running back, so you might see a lot more.
And our boy Nick Chubb's coming back, which
Chubb's coming back.
Potentially.
if Chubb doesn't have a huge week, I think Kareem Hunt will, because I think it's going to be like, all right, I got to tackle Chubb. Oh, they're going to the bench. Oh, I got to tackle Hunt now. It's
It's a good
like
1-2.
Yeah.
I think 46 is a very big point spread for the Browns offense.
31-24. I mean, that's not
For the Browns
outrageous.
offense, down OBJ.
Is it
I know you're
away?
getting Chubb back, but like Chubb hasn't really practiced with the team in a few weeks. It's a totally different offense. Baker hasn't shown up. I don't know, but I did take that game as well. I took
In
Houston
Cleveland.
plus 172.
They'd score
Over the
more
Browns.
points than
So,
Cleveland.
so Luke has Houston money line. I actually have the Browns -4 over Houston. Houston's playing well, but they'd be making a mistake if they try to steal another win. They need to move up in the draft. They're still in a little bit of a rebuild. They got to get a good running back there. Lock of the week fantasy. Some rookies look at a guy like Christian McCaffrey coming back and they say, "Oh man, who needs Mike Davis?" No, you hold on to a guy like Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a must start. He played very well coming off the bench last week. He is excited to be back in the starting lineup. Mike Davis will get you 2 touchdowns this week, 7 receptions. You have to play Mike Davis this week.
I was going to say, Run CMC is like week to week, isn't he?
he's out this week, so
Shoulder.
I love him. He's a baller, but he's
Yeah.
a low guy. You worry with him really quick. Is that like hopefully his career isn't shortened because he's just so small. And
Yeah.
he takes
I mean, he's a beast though. He gets 20
He's
touches
a
a game,
monster.
so like it's just.
Anyway, we won't harp on that.
yeah.
I
Mike
got-
Davis.
I got Justin Jefferson Monday night against Chicago. I
Ooh.
think he's gonna have over 100 yards and possibly a touchdown.
Oh, and we're sitting him on our fantasy team. What do you guys got? Fantasy left?
From North Carolina State, 6'2", 200, number 16. Sunday night, Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby
Oh,
Myers. You
like
got
it's
him
the
balling
Ravens.
out.
Wow.
All right. All right.
So for me, I did like a who you should add this week. A sneaky pick for me is old reliable Randall Cobb because he's available in a lot of leagues right now. I think coming back to the Houston Cleveland game, I think he's gonna maybe have like a sneaky.
You know, I ride very high on number 3 options on teams because you're playing against the number 3 option on defense, and it's very hard to find a third defensive corner.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Curtis Samuel from the Panthers,
Yeah.
so that might not be a bad play because Cooks is playing phenomenal. Will Fuller is a freak. I mean, he could get some looks.
Can we talk about how Houston's offense should be so much better than
So
it is?
much.
I mean, they have
Also,
Stills, Cobb,
yeah.
Fuller,
Jacoby Myers'
Cooks.
birthday weeks. Just
I think Fuller scored in like 6. He's got like an NFL record,
Fuller's a
6
beast.
games.
Yeah. Fuller's a beast.
But that's why I think it's going to open up for Cobb because you got to cover Fuller, you got to cover Cooks, and then suddenly you got Randall Cobb's got a lot
Cobb
left
over
in
the
the tank. I
middle.
think still.
Oh yeah,
All right, guys.
Maybe that's on the Patriots.
We covered a lot today, guys. NBA draft is coming up on Wednesday. Hopefully, Danny makes some big moves. Next week, we're going to cover free agency, which will start the day we actually air the show next week for week 4. A lot to go on. Go Pats. Thanks for watching, guys.
That's